So I want to keep it very informal. If you have any questions in the middle, stop me, because it's a workshop after all right? For those of you who don't know me, I'm Dr. Gadura from Biology Department. I want to thank CSTEP and I want to thank STEM Academy for inviting me and spending just a few minutes to talk to you guys about biotechnology. Dr. Swarnos is going to take over and going to talk about other careers that you can have with your LS1 degree. I will stick to biotechnology itself, all right? Again, like I said, it's a new program, so just at the end of this summer, it got approved. This fall is the first time it's running it. I'm running biotechnology class for a few semesters now, really, and students are doing really well. All right, what is this biotechnology degree program? It's an associate degree program, all right? You can get your AS degree while you are at QCC, and then it just transfers. If you keep the GPA, I think it's a 3.0 GPA that you have, or maybe 2.5, I'll double check on that. As long as you maintain a right GPA, you will get transferred into your college and their biotechnology program, but you're not limited to your college and their biotechnology program. You can transfer to any four-year college after that, so it's not limited. Now, you see two pictures up there, all right? For those of you who've taken some biology, what do you see? What's the picture to your left? DNA, and DNA being held by forceps. So what is the picture trying to tell you? What's the power of biotechnology here? Power of biotechnology is you can manipulate DNA. You can play with the genes, and that is powerful, all right? So it's the science of the future. It's biology of the future, if you will, starting off with molecular biology and then totally taking off in so many directions from there, all right? And then you see corn, right? Yummy corn, which we barbecue, and you have to have your corn. But what else you see in the corn kernels there? Letters, just letters? You only see letters? Some kind of prescription pills and all that, right? So it tells you, you know, again, the power of genetics, the power of how you can use, blend in molecular biology, and really the wave of the future as far as now biofuels are concerned, as far as you can use E. coli to express human genes, and you know, so many things that can be manipulated. So that's what you learn with biotechnology. That's what you're able to do with biotechnology. Again, biotechnology at the center there, and it's telling you where you can branch off. So starting with biotechnology, it's extremely diverse portfolio, as you can see, moving on from power industry to agriculture to medicine, chemical industry, food industry, you name it, all right, because the basis of everything these days is becoming molecular biology, which has everything to do with biotechnology. So it's giving you extremely powerful hands-on instruments to deal with and diversify yourself in no matter which direction you want to pursue it in the future. So you're absolutely not bogged down by anything. All right, so this slide is kind of a brief overview telling you how many different kinds of, you know, different aspects of biology blend in into a biotechnology field. So you could have molecular biology at the heart of it. You could pursue cell culture, which might lead to, you know, so many tracers, for example, where we want to find out genetic disorders, or you move on to DNA technology and your crime solving, your forensics labs end up using, you know, all kinds of things, to your genetic engineering, which is trying to, again, cloning or subcloning. You are mixing genes these days, trying to invent something new, whether it's new drugs or whether it's gene therapy or what have you. So many different avenues, so many different approaches. So biotechnology is like a blend in, if you will. So many different kinds of biology would come in for you to be able to pursue one particular avenue, whatever you choose to in future, all right? So who should pursue biotechnology degree, all right? The biotechnology website, if you will, there are a couple of main biotechnology folks around the country, and according to them, they're saying, well, if you enjoy science, if you enjoy math, if you enjoy technology, and like I showed you in the two slides before, it really is blending in so many different sciences, and that's the wave of future, actually. No longer are people in their little bubbles, in their little labs where they're only going to be biology or they're only going to be chemistry or only going to be physics. No, it's now the wave of future, and definitely you guys, future scientists sitting out here in the audience, the wave of the future is you've got to understand how to blend in different kind of biology, chemistry, physics, everything, move them into one and try to solve a problem together, all right? So people don't just work in their own little bubbles and own little labs anymore. People communicate, people talk to, a biologist is a biologist, a chemist is a chemist. You gotta come together and try to solve a problem for the future. So that's where we're definitely headed. As far as biotechnology itself is concerned, about 20% of the biotech jobs in the country are in New York area alone. More specifically, the hub is Westchester County, all right? So a lot of biotech companies there. And what kind of biotech companies? They could range from diagnostics to therapeutics to research and development. And diagnostic meaning that they would be focusing on anytime you go for a new test, you say, oh, I had this test. Well, did you ever wonder who developed that test for you? How were you able to test something? So kids born in New York, the newborn screening, there are about 20 different genetic tests that kids are tested for. All right, my mother's just signed that little signature. They don't even ask. The law was passed several years back, and now they automatically would test every kid who's born for those genetic disorders. So think about who developed those 20, orders, and how were they able to screen for them very quickly in a short and effective period of time, and so on and so forth. So there could be companies dealing with that. There could be companies dealing with gene therapies. Again, new way of treating patients, and so on and so forth. So you have all kinds of companies. Let's say you're not into science, you change your mind later, you can go into management, all right? They definitely need, if you're good with business, for example, and you're good with science, you can use those skills, all right? So it's not one thing that you're stuck in. You have a passion for science, you have a passion for business, you could do, be involved in their management. Okay, so other kind of careers, again, biotech industry is growing over 90% in the last 10 years, and it's going to continue to grow, all right, because like I said, it's the wave of future. The whole next generation of medicine, whether it's biofuels, whether it's your new drug discovery, depends on biotechnology, all right? So jobs could range from, simple lab workers that people need, bench workers, right? So you could start off as that, or you could get into research and development. I have a friend of mine, she was really good in science, so she got her PhD in that. She was also good in English. So what she ended up doing, I don't know if any of you pay attention when you buy some medicine, some prescription, or even a Tylenol, what have you, you open a little packet, there's a little pamphlet that comes with it. Most of us don't really read it, but next time you open a drug, pay attention to it. There's a chemical structure drawn, and there's everything is laid out. What is that drug all about? What does it interact with? How does it stop you? How does it make you better? The whole thing is written. Who writes that? They have to hire a scientist to write that, right? And that scientist has to be good in English. So just the point I'm trying to make is you can blend several different kind of majors to, to create a job market for yourself. Again, if you're good in sales and marketing, you can't be selling something. You can't be selling. Some of this equipment is really expensive. It could be $250,000, $500,000 worth of equipment these days. Very expensive, fancy equipment. So if you're selling $250,000 worth of equipment, you've got to have some knowledge of science, right? So it could be, that you're interested in that kind of thing. You can approach that avenue, if you will. Manufacturing, quality control, so there are all sorts of workers needed at all sorts of levels. All right, so what else can you do with biotechnology degree? Like I said, you can work in biotechnology industry itself. You can work in pharmaceutical companies who are developing drugs, any public-private hospitals who might be doing research, private-public universities who might be doing research, forensics labs. So there are all sorts of places that you can work. What kind of educational skills do you require to get a job? So you're starting your careers off at AS degree. All right, with the AS degree, it's your foot in the door. You can get in some kind of, technician level job, a bench worker. And then we don't expect you to stop studying, right? You can pursue your bachelor's degree, get your master's. Now, there are two ways of jumping from master's to PhD. You could, most of people, if they know that they want to pursue a PhD, they would take this master's degree, what we call an en route master's degree. So you're not enrolled into separate. If you think, well, I'm not too sure if I want my PhD yet, then you can absolutely finish a master's degree and then worry about a PhD. So the timeline I've mentioned, of course, 4 years for your bachelor's, 2 years your associate, 2 years to finish the rest of the bachelor's, 2 years your master's, if you choose to do it separately, and if not, then you can just continue with your PhD, which might take another 4 years, excuse me for that. And then most likely you'll do a postdoc, all right? Postdoc is now you're becoming more specialized, or you're diversifying your portfolio. You tried to work in one thing on one project in your PhD, and now you want to move on to something else and pursue something else. You're gaining experience as you're doing postdoc, but you're getting paid for it. All right, so as you go into your PhD program, if you are, like I said, after your bachelor's, if you made up your mind that you want a PhD degree, you're not paying out of your pocket. Most likely you're getting some kind of scholarship. Going rate around this area, New York area, is about $24,000, $25,000 a year. They will pay for your medical and you know, most of the time. So it is some kind of money coming inside your pocket. You're not paying for it yourself. Tuition is usually covered for PhDs. And postdocs, you're making a salary. Career options, what can you do? You can go in some kind of academics, all right, which is, again, teaching. Mostly it could be heavy-duty teaching load, or it could be just a research position where you're just doing research in some kind of university, all right? So it depends on what kind of position you're looking for, what kind of university you're looking for. Then you could work in an industry, all right, where you are, again, research and development, heavy on that. You could be part of developing drugs, or as I mentioned before, there are several other careers within industry itself, or developing some kind of diagnostic tools and so on and so forth. You could also work in a hospital setting. There are plenty of hospitals around the area who have so much research going, all right? So you could be part of any one of their labs. Now, I want to I don't want to paint a rosy picture and say everything is all good. So I kind of broke the talk down into pros and cons, all right, to what I see, the way I see it, all right? For different people, it might work differently and so on. So for the academic position now, what are the pros? All right, as I sat down to type this, and given the economy, I realized, wait a minute, so academics is pretty much recession-proof. All right, so as the recession started, guess which business picked up more? I hate to call it business, but you know, the enrollment was up in colleges, all right? So academics, you can't really go wrong. People need to study, right? So if you are in an academic setting, then you have a good position right there, because your job is not going to be lost just because there's a recession around, all right? You have pretty much flexible schedule. If you're not a 9-to-5 person, although we work beyond 9 to 5 sometimes, but we don't feel like we're working beyond 9 to 5, all right? So very flexible hours, or until 12:30, right? So gratification, all right? That's what people who are most of us, I can just speak for myself and a few other people I know, that we are really humbled, you know, when our students come back to us and say, oh, professor, I did this and this. A little email that we get from them, I am already doing my PhD. I have several students right here from QCC. I'm only here 4 years, but even in those 4 years, I get emails back. A student of mine just last week came back. She's in a PhD program, you know, doing her pharmacy, getting her pharmacy degree right here in LIU. So just those little notes are extremely gratifying, all right? And it's when you get in those shoes, you'll realize it's you know, as hard as it is while you're going through the semester, it's pretty gratifying later on. All right, engaging students in some kind of research projects. Most of the faculty at QCC do that. All right, so you have to be just brave enough to go and ask them, can I get involved in a research project? It will pay later, all right? So that's what the pros are. Now cons, if you're asking me, well, is everything good? No, everything is not good, as is life, all right? There are challenges, and academics would have its set of challenges. Now, the research that you're gonna do will pretty much be at the basic level, unless you are at Columbia or very high-end institutions where you can pretty much go ahead and do whatever you want to do, all right? So funding. Research costs money, all right? Things are not gonna be happening for free, so of course, who's responsible for getting funding? You are, all right? So if you're a PI, you wanna run a research project, then it's your responsibility to find federal dollars, or whether it's state dollars, or whatever the case might be. So that's competitive, all right? No guarantees that you're gonna get it, but you'll try. All right, and then funding can change from one administration to next. So with Bush administration, it was hard to get funding. Obama administration came, funding was getting a little easier. It didn't trickle down yet, but we hope that it does, all right? So things change. Now, let's say you say academics is not for me. I don't want to teach, I don't want to do research in a university lab, then you want to pursue industry. It has its own pros. Pros is you are really heavy duty into developing a new, whether it's a vaccine or a new drug or what have you, all right? So it's a lot of work involved. The cons there are that there's no flexible hours, all right? You're working your tail off. So most likely they consider 80-hour work week a normal, work week. It's not considered overtime. All right, so it's a lot of work that you're doing, all right? But there are, benefits at the end. Benefits is you could be patenting a vaccine that you just made, or you would have your name on a drug that you just made, and so on and so forth, all right? So chances to collaborate. There's a whole team of people working to put one drug out on the market, all right? You're talking hundreds of scientists from all across the board working together to get one drug out on the market, all right? Heavy duty on ethics. I put that big on the bottom because every few years we see a drug came out on the market and so people died and this happened, that happened. So you have to have really strong ethical skills, and that ethics goes for academics as well. I'm not saying that there's no ethics in academics. You have to have ethics. The minute you step into a research lab, the minute you step into a scientific setting, you got to have very strong ethics to deal with the situation, to deal with your work. All right, so if you choose to work in hospitals, same thing, except that it's kicked up even more because now you have patients, all right? Now you're no longer static in a lab where you're just dealing with maybe some samples. Now you have patients and patient samples to deal with. So it's a whole new level, if you will, all right? It's a whole new way of thinking about things. Research takes a whole new meaning. And you could be working in diseases that might be close to you, all right? Whether it's Alzheimer's, or you could be just passionate about something and you want to go join that lab. Again, you don't have to be an MD, but if there's an MD working, you hook up with the MD, and the MD PhDs make great teams to do research in lab kind of settings, in hospital lab setting. Cons. Again, cons is funding, all right? You're running a research lab. You are responsible for getting the money to run the lab. And hospitals would be competing for those federal dollars. You're writing grants. And the good thing about hospitals is actually you get a lot of private donors. You get a lot of rich people who just leave millions of dollars sometimes, all right? But you have to have those connections. You have to be able to sell your project to them and so that they could leave you those millions of dollars, all right? So unfortunately, research does not come cheap. All right, so what do you learn at QCC? If you're in the biotechnology program, my Biotech 453 class, I just laid out a few things. This is just a small list of things, if you will, that you learn. And it's hands-on. I have a couple of biotech majors or students in the audience, they can vouch for that, that these are real equipment, real things that you will end up using, so that my goal is when you walk out of the labs here, you should be able to walk in a lab setting and be able to work with things. You should not be intimidated. Oh, I never used this. I don't know how to touch it. So it's nothing fake that I make my students work with. It's all real hands-on. And we went through great lengths to get real equipment, and that's what you end up using, all right? So whether it's extracting DNA, which we start off with, or whether restriction digest means scissors to cut DNA, which is the first picture that I put up there, or whether it's running a gel of DNA to see what's going on, or whether it's protein that you're looking at. I make my students pluck their own hair out to get their own DNA so they can do DNA fingerprinting, all right? So it's a lot of fun stuff that we ended up doing, or we do end up doing. The point is you learn things hands-on, and that's the goal. That's the bottom line. I want QCC students, as they exit out of this class, to be able to go work in a real lab setting with real equipment. That's my goal. All right, there are two other new courses we are offering for the first time in the spring. It's a genetics course and computational biology, bioinformatics course. Genetics is your plain vanilla genetics, but it is genetics for majors. So if you are pursuing a medical degree, a dental degree later, or what have you, all right, it's going to be a genetics that you're going to end up taking, and it's transferred over to a four-year college. Bioinformatics is the wave of the future, all right? Again, that's where science is heading, that's where biology is heading, because all the information is on the computers. We're not teaching this course from a computer programmer perspective, we're teaching this course from a biologist perspective, of course. All right, the idea is you have all the sequences online, so what do you do with those sequences? How can you harness that gold mine that people are sitting on? Human genome, as most of you probably know, was sequenced back in year 2000. It was finalized in year 2003. It's been 7 years we're sitting on that sequence, all right? And for the next 100 years, scientists are going to be very busy trying to uncode what's hiding in those sequences, all right? So it's something that's here to stay. A few pictures, I thought I show you faces, all right? So these are some of my biotechnology students. They all smile, which means they should be having fun, I hope. all right? But at the end, biotechnology class is honors class, all right? So which means they have to make presentations, and that's great because it's building up your CVs, it's building up your applications. When you apply for schools later, you know, it's something to say on the application that, hey, I did that, all right? And then hard work is always rewarded. Right? You have students who are making presentation, and some of them end up winning awards. Not everybody wins, but hey, the fact that you went to a conference, you presented, is great. How many people get to say that, all right? So it's up to each one of you to take charge of your future, to take charge of your careers and say, I can do this, all right? So there's absolutely nothing stopping you but you yourself, all right? There's plenty of, again, faculty and plenty of mentors at QCC campus. Biology, chemistry, physics, we're all busy people trying to help you out. That's what we're here for. And then they win, and that's really icing on the cake. So this is just October 23rd. One of my students, he won first place. All right, and I have another student, Ilana, who again, very recently, just a few weeks ago, won at a national conference. So it makes us feel double special, all right? It makes them feel double special that, hey, they must be doing something right. So when she puts up her CV or her application for any school, applications are gonna go at the top of the pile, all right? Because here's someone who's competing among the rest of the pool. So get involved in research early on. All right, so that's word to the wise, if you will. All right, excellent investment of your time, whether you're getting paid for it or not. I did my research in undergraduate, did not got paid a dime, but it's not the money. All right, I know sometimes money is important and whatnot, so there might be some help available out there, but try to spend some time. If you're sitting, chatting, eating away or whatever, and just gossiping and texting, use that time, all right? Be involved with the project and be involved in the lab. Whatever you learn, again, experience is priceless. I cannot say that enough. All right, so I will answer questions. Any questions at all? No? Yeah.
I have a question. I'm curious about, you mentioned biology class 453, and that we will learn the different DNA procedures and that. But I'm curious, what is the prerequisite for that course?
Prerequisite is just 201. A C or better in 201.
Okay.
Yes?
If you have more experience in science, can still take part of research?
Absolutely. You know, whatever experience, whatever background you come with. I take students in my lab with no research experience. I don't expect associate students to have research experience, quite honestly. So they come in with a clean slate. It's my job to teach them, right? That's what we're here for, to teach you guys. But you have to make the first move. Yes?
So if you haven't taken any biology class in PCC, can you go straight into that class?
No, 201, like I said, 201 is the prerequisite. Yes.
I have one question about your, one of the slides. Could you just go back? Again, more. Keep going. Okay. Yep. Keep going. Keep going. Nope. One more. Okay. It says there's less job security. What did you mean by that?
Less job security, and it's not to scare people away from industry or whatever, but the point is that projects finish and jobs finish with the projects. So people chuck projects. Let's say they hired a team of 20 scientists to pursue something, a drug that's not working. All right, management has a quick decision to make. Should they continue pouring millions of dollars into that research, or should they stop the project? So that's what I mean by job security, that projects could finish. Depends on how good you are. You could get rehired, or even within the same company, you could start on a different project, but it's not as secure as, let's say, an academic position might be. People spend their lifetime in industry, so no need to worry about that. But
I just try to understand what the job security meant.
Right. So it's a relative term, really. Yeah. Anything else I can answer for you? No? All right, thank you.
My name is Paris Voronos. I happen to be one of the faculty members in chemistry. I was asked to give you an overview of what is expected of you when you get a degree in LS1. So I'm going to go, basically, I'm going to be a little bit more general, but I also, oops, sorry. Basically, I will talk to you a little bit about the AS Liberal Arts and Sciences Math and Science degree. The suggested requirements, and these are the in the catalog, it just came straight out of the catalog, is that you need to take English 101, 102, Health 102, Social Sciences, History, another humanities course, which can be also another social science or history, speech, gym, which is 1 credit, and of course a math class, a 400 level math class. Usually our students take the 2 writing intensive classes before they graduate out of this pool of courses. English 101, 102, they do not offer writing intensive, neither speech does. But the other classes can be, and there are several sections. The concentration science courses, these are the courses that go with LS1, are basically general chemistry 1 and 2, bio 201, 202, math 441, 442, organic chemistry 251, 252, physics 301, 302. Physics, you can replace it if you're good in calculus with, for instance, calculus physics, which is 411, 412, 413. In the catalog, they also suggest foreign languages, but there are other departments in 4-year colleges where they really do not care so much about the foreign languages. Some schools require that. So what we always suggest to the students is that when they take their science classes before they graduate, they better take them here and finish up with the first 2 years of sciences here rather than go somewhere else. The reason is the following. If you go to any 4-year college, you'll find out that in organic chemistry, for instance, there are 200, 300, 400 people taking the course at the same time in one classroom. But then that's when they are sophomores. When they become juniors, what happens is that those people who took organic, they do not necessarily have to take physical chemistry if they are biology majors. They do not have to take biochemistry if they are engineering majors, and they do not have to take engineering classes if they plan to be chemistry majors. And so therefore, automatically the classes start becoming much smaller. And if you go, for instance, to most 4-year colleges in CUNY, you will realize that the number of people that are in the 3rd year class and the 4th year classes are probably 1/10 of the people that used to be, at least in chemistry, that used to be in general chemistry and organic. Now, many of you are here and you have to take prep classes. These prep classes do not count towards the degree. These are basically the same type of classes that you take, for instance, like basic skills. This doesn't count as English 101. So therefore, the prep classes now often are being taken by students who are not very sure about what they really want to do, or they have weaknesses in math or science or chemistry. But they certainly do not count, and I want you to understand that. So people think that, you know, when you graduate, you get 60 credits, and then automatically when you transfer, they're going to take all 60 credits. That's not necessarily true. What happens is they take those classes that really qualify as the degree. So those classes that I'm talking about are basically Math 10, Math 13, there are no credits. Math 120, this is algebra trigonometry. Theoretically, this is supposed to be a high school course. Any basic skill classes that have no credits, which are of course prerequisite for English 101. Any speech 05 and 06, which are prerequisites for speech 211. Chemistry 120, 121, which is 4 credits, and 127, which is 4.5 credits. And Bio 110 or 115, which are 4 credits. And then we have Chemistry 128, which is 4.5 credits that we really highly recommend because the organic chemistry course is arguably one of the top most difficult courses, 3 most difficult courses in any science curriculum. I must point out, though, that this really does not affect your financial aid. Even though, as you probably know, you take basic skills classes and they have 0 credits, there is something called equated credits, and these are added as if they were really real credits. So therefore, your financial aid basically requires 12 credits. And so we have had people in the past who took all these remedials, basic skills, 2 basic skills classes, 1 math class, and maybe a chemistry 120 class, and they hit the 12 and a half or 12 credits limit, a minimum that they require for the financial aid. Okay. So now, the good thing that LS1 has is that really you don't have to decide what you want to do, because most of the courses that you're going to be taking in LS1 are applicable to basically all science degrees. And that's the good news, because you can always change your mind. You don't want to become a physician assistant, you want to become a chemical engineer. You don't want to become a mechanical engineer or chemical engineer, and you want to become, for instance, a doctor or a vet. And so therefore, that's the good news. So you really do not, psych yourself out, this is what I really want to do. Don't worry about that. So the degrees basically that LS1 is helping you to get in are 2 types of degrees. Degrees that require earning a BS first in the sciences, which means you go, for instance, to Queen's College and you get a degree in biochemistry or biology or physics or math or chemistry, and I want you to become chemist because I want job security. Okay? But you need to get a bachelor's first before you go into the professional degree. And an example of this, for instance, is medical school. Most of the medical schools require, the good medical schools require, dental school, osteopathic medicine, and vet school. These ones require a bachelor's for sure. Sometimes they require even more. Okay, so now the degrees do not require really earning a BS first in a science-related curriculum. Example, physics, chemistry, math, physics. Sorry, I meant biology. Sorry, no hard feelings. Thank God Dr. Kadura is out. Okay, instead now students can get their LS1 degree and then transfer to the program of their choice. Okay, now which ones are they? Well, pharmacy is one. Pharmacy is a 6-year degree. It used to be 4 in the 80s, early 80s, when you were -10. And then it became 5 years, and then now it's a 6-year degree, which is called PharmD. So people take usually a 2-year degree here, and finish up the 2-year degree, and then transfer to the pharmacy program. Then we have physician assistant. Physician assistant is basically 2 years here, and then 2 years more, which is just a bachelor's. Physical therapy, it's actually a master's program. Stony Brook has a very good program there. Then we have pharmaceutical sciences at your college. It's a recent degree that we had, and this is basically an excellent way of going into industry. And then, of course, we have chiropractic. Okay, so let me talk about, for instance, I'm not going to go over every single one of them. I just picked up pharmacy because many students come to me and they say they want to become pharmacists. So we have a pharmacy pharmacy program, and we have first 2 years at Queensborough and then 4 years at a pharmacy school. So what do they require? Again, the standard courses: English 101, 102, social sciences, usually 4 courses, speech, mathematics, calculus 1 and 2, pre-calculus at least, and calculus 1, general chemistry 1 and 2, bio 1 and 2, physics 1 minimum, and microbiology. These are the standard courses. Now, every school has its own requirements. So if you must understand the following. Queensborough is basically an open admission program. There is no competition to coming to Queensborough. If you get out of here and you want to go to a program, you have to understand it's competitive. And there is not really too much of a guarantee that you will make it. Therefore, you have to apply to several schools. And when you apply to several schools, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to check what each school requires for the first 2 years. There is something else also that you ought to understand, that most of these post-Queensborough colleges or programs, they like to see people completing something, because that's a business for them. Pharmacy, for instance, most pharmacy schools, almost exclusively all pharmacy schools, are actually private schools. There are 2 only in New York City. One of them is St. John's and the other one is LIU. St. John's does not accept transfers. Why? Because they want everybody who goes there to pay for 6 years of education. And therefore, in the past they used to accept, but then they let us go. And then we have LIU, and it's getting more and more difficult to get into LIU, to the extent that they may consider you if you have a GPA at the end of the first year, but then if you want to go after you complete your second year, the GPA must be 3.5, cumulative, which means that the second year you better get a 4 or else. And so therefore the situation becomes very difficult, at least in New York City. And so therefore, as a result then, as our students have gone to either Albany or Buffalo or Rutgers, and they have done tremendously well. The CUNY is working actually on a degree in pharmacy. It's going to be in conjunction with York. It is going to be stationed at York. Again, we expect this to start in about 2 years or so. I'm not sure about it. Don't quote me there. But it doesn't really matter for you because you're here and you still have to take courses for the next year or two. So it really doesn't matter. The major problem that I understand, and again, do not quote me, is the fact of internships. In the 5th and 6th year of any PharmD program, there are internships. And all of them are locked by contract by LIU and St. John's. And so therefore, the CUNY is basically negotiating to find out any internships for this. But again, you don't have to worry about it. A year from now, 2 years from now, you know, there will be other options coming. So don't really psych yourselves out. Now, so what does a student need to be able to make it to these programs? The GPA is not enough. This I guarantee you. It is not enough. I can tell you several examples, cases of students who had 3.6 GPA and made it to a pharmacy program, and people had a 3.9 GPA and didn't make it. And there are reasons behind it. And I will explain to you, I will give you a coverage of those reasons in a second. So why is this the case? Because everybody who applies to a program usually has good grades and has completed all courses required by the program at the time of application. You also must understand, what you're doing is you're going against gravity. Because the best candidates for pharmacy school will be people who originally were planning to go to medical school, and they, for whatever reason they couldn't make it, so they go one step below. You're doing opposite. And going against gravity, according to Newton's law, and I'm not a physicist, is a little bit more difficult. Is it possible? Absolutely yes. The question is, how hungry are you? How hungry are you? And I'm going to ask this question again. All right? So how do we make ourselves more marketable? The GPA is not enough. We know that. And you can always go to ratemyprofessors.com, pick up the nice professor who doesn't harass students and everything else, and you're probably looking at one of them. And then what happens is you can basically get a 4.0. And you may have a bad day. You may be a spectacular student, and you may have a bad final, and you get a C. It happens. Things happen. So therefore, what do we need to do? And this is the most important slide in the whole talk, the resume. You must have a solid resume. And I'm going to exploit every single one of these 6 issues that go with the resume. You have to build a resume, and the resume is made out of scholarships, internships, and honor societies, reference letters, undergraduate research, community service, extra quality courses, and honors classes. I'm going to go every single one of them. So bear with me. Okay, so the first thing that students always ask is, how about those reference letters? Oh, I got an A in the class, I can ask the professor to write me a recommendation letter. Well, you need a reference, that's true, whether it's a job or whether it is a degree. Now, you need a professor who knows your work ethic, right? The person who's going to write your recommendation letter must be someone you have worked for. Someone who can say, for instance, that you show up on time, do the work as asked, etc. A person who can attest to your community service. Someone in church, mosque, temple, or whatever. A Queensborough person you have volunteered for. For instance, there are several people who go to ST100 and they help the instructors at ST100. Or any other person who knows you well. You need someone who can say that you're someone who doesn't have blue eyes. More than that. We don't want this. So the question is, what do we do? Well, you must understand that the faculty is never obliged to write a recommendation letter. He's doing you a favor. This you must understand. He has absolutely no obligation. Okay? Of course, I do write a lot of letters, and if I don't like to write a recommendation letter, I'll tell you straight on your face. Okay? Now, a faculty member needs to write more about you than just the fact that you did well in his class. If the faculty member writes that you got an A in Chemistry 1, so what? The person who is going to look at your application will check the transcript and find out that you really got an A. So what if you got an A? Doesn't say too much. There is something a faculty like to do. There is always something that asks the student to either waive the right to see the letter or not waive the right to see the letter. You must tell the faculty, show the faculty that you trust the faculty. That's why you ask the faculty to write a recommendation letter. So therefore, usually you waive the right to tell him or her, I trust you that you're going to write something decent. It's very rare that the faculty member say, I will write you a recommendation letter, you waive the right, and then he writes a lousy one. Okay? So you have to show goodwill to the faculty member. Goodwill opens doors. You must give ample time to the faculty to write the letter. Don't come and say, listen, it's 5:20 and I want a recommendation letter by 6 o'clock. Do not go and send him an email. It doesn't work. And don't ever text message to the faculty member and write you as you instead of YOU. Okay? Once you know the results of your application, whether it is positive or negative, okay, you should inform your instructor and thank him or her. Just do something like this, because you may change the program and you may ask the faculty member again. And so therefore you need the faculty on your side. Okay? So you must really express your gratitude to this faculty member. Okay? Okay, number 2, we need scholarships, internships, honor societies. We have Phi Theta Kappa. If you have a GPA of 3.5, it's a one-time $60 fee. I think if you have that GPA and you think you're going to be solid by the time of graduation, being a member of GPA is good, because there are many schools that give you at least partial scholarships. In the department, there are certainly Queensborough scholarships and awards. Our department has a ton of those. Okay, biology has a ton of those. Math has a ton of those, okay? Merit scholarships from your church, temple, or mosque. That's important. There are many churches that do that. I know, for instance, I had at least 3 Korean students who got this type of a merit scholarship. Even if it is a partial scholarship, it's something excellent to have in your resume. Summer internships. There is nothing called you take off 3 months for vacation. This doesn't sound good. We have internships with the water department. In the last 3 years, we had a total of 28 people who went in the water department and got paid for a work of about 10 to 12 weeks, I think 10 weeks, about $3,000 for this work. What they do basically is the following. I don't know if you know it. I do not care so much about the Dasani, also because it's expensive, but the New York water is very, very, very clean. Every day, there are about 3,500 samples of water that are being analyzed. So there is a bunch of people that actually go on the boat and collect water samples. And then they go to the lab and analyze them. Most of the people who do the regular analysis often in the summer take a vacation. But we still have 3,500 samples a day that we have to identify, right? And check the purity. And so therefore, as a result then, this internship takes people and asks those kids to do the routine stuff. And then we ask those kids also, after they do the internship, to go to a conference and make a presentation. I was asked to write a paper about this, and I was planning to do that the last 2 months, but I didn't have time. There is something called bioprep. Many of you have heard about it. If you do well in Bio 201, your instructor will most likely ask you to go in the summer to do the bioprep, and you also get paid there. The person who's doing it starting this semester is Dr. Gadura. So this is the person to go to. So do well in Bio 201, okay? No movies until the end of the semester, no text messaging, Just get a good grade in 201, and then go to Dr. Gadura. She may arrange for you to go to the bioprep. Then there's the Brookhaven National Lab. We do have in the chemistry department a grant from the National Science Foundation, and we always send people in the summer to do research, and they get paid approximately $4,000 for 2 months of work. We then have the Food and Drug Administration. This is not with pay. This is free. And we've had several people since 2001 who actually went to the Food and Drug Administration to work. Now, I would like you to understand, I know if you go to CVS, you make more money than if you go to the Food and Drug Administration because they don't pay. But in the resume, nobody really cares, even if you're a manager of the CVS, all right? They like to see this Food and Drug Administration. And when you do a project there, when you do an internship there, I will ask you to come and make a presentation to a conference. So therefore, in this case, that's an extra star in your resume. Now, community service and volunteer. You can work at Queensborough, open house, peer advisement, ST100. You can work as a member, or you can be a member of the student government club board member, C-STEP, chemistry, biology, robotics, math club, ethics clubs, etc. You can do volunteer work at a religious institution, whether it's a church, mosque, or temple. Okay? For instance, we had several people who went and contributed to a volunteer work for collection of food and clothes after the Haiti earthquake. We have people doing volunteer work at a hospital, clinic, or medical office. This is very important because when you apply, you must understand that people do not want to see that you've worked for 2 months, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. They don't want to see that. They want to see that you worked 5 hours a week for 2 straight years, which means that you're really committed to whatever you do. What are you going to do there? Nothing really too much. Mostly wheeling people on wheelchairs, wheeling them out or bringing them food or whatever. Then tutoring. At Queensborough, we have tutoring. I had tutors who in Flushing were tutoring young immigrant children, whether it was Korean or Chinese kids. Okay, undergraduate research. We started undergraduate research at Queensborough in the chemistry department in 2000. Dr. Karimi, our chair, actually, and myself had 1 student at the time. Last year, we had 30 people working in the department doing research. Several of you are here. Several of you have made presentations already in conferences. Okay? Now, to do undergraduate research, you must understand, the faculty will agree to work with a student. Faculty doesn't have to do that, because the faculty knows what he or she has to do. Okay? What the faculty now, if he gets you to do the work, this means he has to teach you how to do that, which is more painful. And he has to be around you. Okay? So the faculty now wants to make sure that the student, he needs to have a student who will be there at the lab on time. He won't cut. A student meets deadlines. If the faculty member wants a poster made or a report made, the faculty member wants to make sure that this student is capable of doing it. The faculty member wants to see a student who's willing to come and to work early and leave late. Okay? The faculty member is willing to repeat an experiment again and again, and notice again and again, capital letters, because you don't mix here, salt and water and you make a solution. You make more complicated things, and usually you need 5, 10, 15, 20 times to repeat an experiment to get it right. And then faculty member wants someone who's organized, willing to learn, and gets along. The faculty member wants someone loyal. Okay? Now, there's a great advantage from there, because now the faculty member can write in the recommendation letter that this person worked with me and made presentations in conferences. Okay? Because when people see in the resume, oh, you did research under so-and-so, and you have 0 presentations, what do you think the person who's going to look at the application is going to think? He's going to think that you just washed glassware, took the trash out. But when you make a presentation, this means that you have done something different. And that's something you must understand. Okay, in return, the faculty now will try to have the research findings presented at the professional conference. And the faculty member will not do it unless he or she knows that the results are kosher. Because if the results are not kosher, the faculty member's head In the scientific world, down it goes. Okay? The faculty member will sacrifice his time with very little compensation helping the student, and will likely write, I forgot the word, write a reference letter for the student and include the name of the student in a publication. This is extremely important. How important is it? I got my very first publication when I was in my 4th year of graduate school. That's before you were born. Okay? We've had in our department, the chemistry department, since 2002, 12 publications with students' names. I had my very first presentation after I got my PhD. We have students who have had 2, 4, 6, 8 presentations in a conference before they leave Queensborough. So what we've done now is we have really prepared you to be accepted to the school of your choice. Extra quality courses. Now, let's put it this way. When you are going to apply to a school, do you think the person who's going to read your application will care if you know archery? I don't think so. I mean, I don't mind it, okay? But if I happen to be the patient, there are 2 things that I care about the student or the doctor knowing. A, does he know how to put me to sleep first? Second, more important, does he know how to wake me up? So therefore, the quality courses are important. So if you're good in biology, take microbiology, take anatomy and physiology, take more courses. If you're good in math, take calculus physics, take linear algebra. Beef up your resume with quality courses. It's okay to have non-science courses. We had people who have bachelors in arts, yet they made it to the science of their choice based on the fact that they took more advanced courses. So do take these classes: computer, statistics, chemistry, physics, calculus, microbiology, anatomy, and physiology. I'm not very good in spelling, but that's okay. I'm a chemist. Okay, then we have the honors classes. There is a rule or a chance for you in this college that if you have a minimum of 12 credits and a cumulative of 3.4 GPA, at the time of graduation, you graduate with an honors certificate. All honors completed are recorded and designated as honors on the transcript, and you can register only with permission. These classes, by and large, in CUNY first, which I usually call it Excalibur first, does not really have these honors classes. So if you want to take an honors class and you believe that your faculty, the person, for instance, who taught you 151, knows that you've done a good job and wants you to go into honors classes, tell the faculty member to contact me or Dean Cuomo in administration building, and we will place you there. So the regular honors classes in LS1 are Chemistry 120, 121, 127, 151, 152, the 900 series, Bio 201, Bio 453, Bio 456, Math 441, Math 442, and most likely more of those classes will also be added. All right, so the question is, you want to see examples of some of our students? We'll have tons of those, and we are very, very proud of them. Of course, I couldn't put all of them because I have to get out to have a class at 3. So I picked up 12 of them at random, and I picked them up in basically different fields. So I start with the latest success, and I'm going backwards, okay? So the first one is going to be Christine. Christine Casas actually had a BA in Fine Arts from St. John's. She got really tired. She didn't like the job, but she completed all prerequisites for physician assistant program at QCC. She started from Math 120, okay, and Chemistry 127. She is currently now in her first year at your college's PA program, which is very competitive. She conducted research under myself and my wife, as well as Mr. Irigoyen upstairs, and presented her findings in 5 different conferences. She also is currently working as a lab technician at Queensborough, and worked as a DEP intern, this is the water department intern, during the summer of 2009. Yunchul Kim worked actually with Dr. Chauhan. He also took honors Chemistry 1 and Chemistry 2. He wasn't doing very well in school, but he was very, 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 very good. And he got an AS in engineering. He is now currently at City College's engineering program. He conducted research under Dr. Chauhan. And that picture you see, it was from his presentation at the National American Chemical Society meeting, the national one. There are only 2 national ones in the country every year. He was the one, they picked him up over there. And you see Dr. Chauhan in the back. We then have Rana Saeed. Rana Saeed got her AAS in Queensborough. She is currently a biochemistry BS program at Stony Brook. Because she did research here, she's working into a very highly competitive biochemistry lab at Stony Brook. She worked also on several projects, and she worked also at DEP as DEP intern. She actually had 8 presentations in conferences. And because of that, she was the only one who was picked up actually to work with that specific professor. Emily Hughes left school. She came back. She got her AS in Queensborough in 2008. She got a BS in pharmacology in Stony Brook. She conducted research under Dr. Shin. And the paper is ready to get out now. She got a very rare award, which is the American Association of University Women Scholarship Award. She conducted summer research on a Princeton City College project. And she's currently working on a 1-year research appointment at Stony Brook while preparing for medical school. When she first came here, they told her, go into nursing. She finished in 2 years. Nadia Aboli got her bachelor's in the 2-year degree in LS1 in 2008. She's in her 5th year of pharmacy at Buffalo. She conducted research under Dr. Sullivan in the biology department, and she presented at 5 different conferences. She was from Ivory Coast. She is still from Ivory Coast. She became an American Chemical Society scholar. This is a very rare award because they take 100 students from the whole country. And I'm talking about not only community colleges. They put her, she's actually the 2nd person who got this award. They put her side by side to the Stanford and the Harvard and the Yale kids. She conducted summer research at Rutgers University. Okay, James actually got an AS degree at Queensborough, and he did research. He got a degree, he got accepted to the chemical engineering programs at both Cornell and Cooper Union. I don't know if you know it, but Cooper Union is very, very difficult to get in, but it's free. You don't pay a penny. Okay? He chose Cooper Union, of course, because it's free. And it's extremely well respected college. It's near Chinatown. He got his bachelor's in 2008, and he got his master's free, both of them. And then he conducted research under Dr. Vargas, who worked with another professor, Dr. Stefani, at St. John's, and he presented at 5 different conferences, including Rutgers, and is currently now a New York University dental student. So you see how people change careers. From chemical engineer, you go into dentistry. Nilda was a dropout nursing student. That was in 2003 when she came to us because she was actually dropped out of both Hunter and St. John's nursing programs. So she came to take 127, but she was very smart. She got her 2-year degree here. She became a physician assistant at York College. This was the first group of people that graduated from York College physician assistant. There were 300 that applied. They took 21. 11 of them graduated on time. She was one of them. What else? She went to the Undergraduate Research Symposium and she made 2 presentations. The first person ever, because she worked at the Food and Drug Administration. She currently is a PA at Queen's General Hospital. Okay. Hoda came here with a GED. So she got her 2-year degree. Then she got a bachelor's in chemical engineering from also Cooper Union. And then she now is a PhD student in engineering in University of California. And she conducted research under Dr. Karimi and myself and Peter Irigoyen, and then she presented at 4 different conferences. Remember, if it was today, she would have presented in more. But that was back in 2003, 2002. So the situation, we were not really very well endowed in terms of money to send people out. Carlos was actually the same time with Hoda. He got his bachelor's in 2003. He got his bachelor's in biology. Nobody's perfect, but that's okay. Then he got a PhD in CUNY biochemistry. He's getting it very, very, very soon. He conducted research again with us. He presented 4 different conferences. And then he conducted also research with Dr. Schneider at Anne Queen's College. Berman Sun was actually a business major. She came in and she was about to graduate. She needed 1 course in the sciences. The only course that was available in chemistry was actually Honors Chemistry 1. And that was back in 2001. So she got, after that, she got actually something that is an extremely rare thing, which is the Barry Goldwater Scholarship. It's extremely rare because there are about 300 people that get it every year in the whole country. And there were only 2, these were the last, there were 2 people actually, one from Queensland and one from another community college that did it. There were 5 from Harvard, and 4 from Yale, and 6 from Stanford. So she was one of them. She got a bachelor's at Binghamton. She got her pharmacy degree at LIU. And now she is the 2nd person ever to do research here in the chemistry department with us. Locke actually graduated before we started research. But he started as with a bachelor's. He got his master's in chemical engineering. He got a master's also in chemical engineering from Cooper Union. And then he went to NICOM and he became a doctor. So now he's a physician. So you see again how careers change. None of the courses, all the chemistry ones, all the organic ones he took, all of them counted. 2 more. We have Han-Kyu Park. Han-Kyu Park came here, he took 127. And he got his AS degree with us in '98. He got his bachelor's in biochemistry, summa cum laude from Queen's College. And he got a master's in biochemistry at the Graduate Center. And then he now he's also a physician. And then here comes Jamie Lee Weasel, who is actually, she came to us, she took 127 and remedial math. She basically came out of Hawaii, pregnant with a 2nd baby, and she was basically going for nursing. She got her 2-year degree, and then she went to Queen's College. She got a master's and PhD. And then she actually now is a professor and deputy chair of chemistry at Pace University. And she got elected a couple of months ago as the American Chemical Society New York section chair of 2012. So where are the colleges, what are the colleges and universities our students went to? So you see all these different places. They are all on our chemistry website. Dr. Shin was kind enough to put them up there. And these are students who actually graduated from these schools. Louisiana State University was another student of mine who actually became a vet. Duke University, there was another young lady who actually became an environmental scientist, etc. And the jobs that I have here, which also appear in the website, are the current professions of Queensborough former chemistry students: a chemist, biochemist, chemist tenure track faculty, environmental chemist, engineer, environmental lawyer, a pharmacist, a dentist, a physician, and others. So if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer. This is my contact. You can always email me. Many of you I know. Many of you stop by my office all the time. So I'll be more than happy to answer any of your questions. Any questions? Yes? Speak up. She has a question. Okay. There are people, in order to go to 151, you need to have completed Math 120. If you haven't completed Math 120, what we suggest is that you go into Chemistry 121 or 127. Okay, but you have completed Math 120, so you go directly to Chemistry 151. There's no reason. No reason. No. This means you can handle the math. Chemistry 151. Yes.
Is there a big difference between allied and non-science?
Allied health?
Liberal arts degree and liberal arts.
Okay. The liberal arts degree is a degree. That's a different situation. You don't have to take more than one science. This is computational. This is you want to become a writer, you want to become a professor in history or whatever. The AS, it's very difficult because you still have to take chemistry and biology and math, etc. And there are a lot of people. For instance, Christine, the very first person, she was basically not an AA, she got a bachelor's in arts, in fine arts. So therefore, as a result, you know, she still had to go to PhD, she had to take all the courses here, that's why she came to us. Okay? All right? Okay. Any other questions? Yes? Again. Okay. She is graduating with a degree in liberal arts. You still have to find out if you want to transfer to the college of your choice. They're going to ask you, you know, you're going to go over to Google them and find out what they need to have completed. It's very rare that they will accept you without having completed the basic classes. Okay? So what I would suggest is that you take the classes here, you graduate from here, very important. Because if for whatever reason something happens, and you're in the third year somewhere else, without having a 2-year degree, okay? And then for whatever reason you stop going to school, and you want to apply for a job, what is your highest degree? High school. Even if you have 119 credits, it's high school. Then what you need is, you need to have at least something to show that you're above high school. And that's the 2-year degree. And also 4-year colleges do like to see people having, people who can complete something. Because it's a business for you. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions, please? Any other questions? Yes, sir?
The concentration course that you listed for the LS degree, are
yes.
those strictly those?
These are the ones, the minimum they require. What I would suggest that you do is you go to the school of your choice. Figure out what they want. Every school has its own rules. There are schools, for instance, in pharmacy that require statistics. Others don't. There are schools in pharmacy that require physics. Others don't. They prefer to see microbiology or they want to see other physiology.
But I want to get into like the computer science field and
you go to again to the school of your choice. Okay? And if it's computer science, I suggest you find an advisor for the math department and see what the situation is. Go to the math department, the second floor, ask the secretary for an advisor. One faculty member who is in computers and they will tell you. Okay? Yeah.
Now, regarding the reference letter, do we at least give a professor 2 weeks notice?
A minimum of 1 week is a nice thing to do. But you have to tell the faculty member what happened. Because even if it's negative, you cannot come back 2 months later and tell him, you know, it's negative, I need another letter. It doesn't work this way. Say, I'm sorry, I will be trying, I will keep you in mind when I apply again, or something of that type. Just make sure that you don't break the connection. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions? Well, thank you very much. Oh, wait, one question.
Get involved in the summer internship.
Okay. You need a recommendation from a faculty member. For instance, if you want to go into the DEP, we like to see some people who have at least finished up the General 1, hopefully General 2 also, with a good grade. For the bio prep, you contact Dr. Gadura. You have to have at least a B, maybe in Bio 201. Okay? But again, you must understand, even if you do an internship without really pay, it's nice to get paid. Okay? But if you do, what you're shooting for is basically embellishing your resume. This is what tells people who you are. Okay?
And the faster it is, the better off you are. Okay? Any other questions? Any other questions? Thank you very much.
Now is a good time to give a special thanks to Dr. Goldwater, not just a bonus for taking the time out to do this presentation, so let's give one round of applause.